Hi, this is Nicole with the social media part of the presentation. I want to go over a few things with you. One is I want to talk about the psychology of social media. I think in particular, if you're the kind of person that either doesn't use or doesn't like or doesn't understand social media, this can be a helpful reason to or context to know how to use it. I'm going to talk a little bit about picking the different social networks that you could be using. Hint, you don't have to use all of them. I'll talk about the ones that I use a little bit more frequently and the reason why I do that. The second, we're going to talk about social media goals so that maybe you give this a 3 or a 6 month trial, and at the end of it, you can decide if it was successful for you and whether you're going to continue or not. And then I'm going to just kind of go over, I'm going to call it my abbreviated guide to the social networks to just let you know what different ones are used for, what the crowd's like over there, and then you'll probably see this and think, oh, okay, I should be on that social network, or that social network doesn't sound like it's for me. So first of all, the psychology of social media. So there's a really great study, and it talks about why people use social media. And it was a pretty big study in terms of, I think it was thousands of people involved. But basically, people use social media for a variety of reasons. Supporting causes and self-fulfillment, increasing their relationships or the depth of their relationships, self-expression, entertainment. It makes sense when you see them divided that way, and you can probably think of specific people or instances that you've seen this done, but people use social media not just to meet one need, but a variety of needs. The other thing, and this article on Buffer, the Buffer blog is really interesting, but it talks about the chemical reasons that people use social media. So you have dopamine, which is stimulated by unpredictability, right? And small bits of information. So if you check your Instagram feed a couple of times a day, you're going to be rewarded by seeing things that you don't expect and by, having it be little bits of information. And I thought it was interesting that there was a study that showed that tweeting was harder to quit for people than cigarettes and alcohol. So people can legitimately become addicted to social media. The other thing is social media raises oxytocin levels. And I thought it was interesting that it can spike for some people as much as 13%. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but 13% is the equivalent that some people feel on their wedding day in terms of sort of happy, low stress, love, empathy, trust emotions that you can experience. So all this to say is that people feel good using social media. People spend a lot of time on these sites. They want more. So if you're going to be somewhere that people are, social media is a good place to be. Social media is good for a few reasons. One is that, it's kind of the social proof, right? People can leave recommendations or they can tag your business in an update so that their friends can see it easily. Any social media profile that you create has an opportunity for you to put in a link. You can use this link to send people back to your website or to a specific place on your website. You can use social media to build relationships with people. You can get into a commenting discussion with someone or whatever, and those people can turn into customers and friends. And you can communicate information in different ways. So social media websites can support video, images, audio, text. So what you can do is you can find the way to communicate that works best for your audience. A way that I like to use social media that I don't think a lot of people necessarily think about is a way to test messages, kind of like an online focus group. And of course, you use it to get new customers. People will see something that you have available for sale, click on it and buy it, see a property that you've just recently listed and click on it for more information. So those are the reasons that I think social media is good for business. Now you may ask, well, out of all the different social media websites that are out there, how do I pick one for your particular business, right? So I have a couple of ways that you can do it. One is you can think about the people, we talked about in the very first module, your ideal customer. And we can think about where they're at and go there. That's like an easy thing to do in terms of, rather than getting everybody to come to your place, you're going to go to where they're at. Option 2 is different social media sites are better for different kinds of content. So if you really like video, for example, you're going to be on YouTube, you're going to be on Facebook. If you like, sharing images, you're going to be on Instagram. I'll get into that in a second. And then option 3 is based on subject. So there are certain places where different topics are more discussed than other topics. And so you can pick your social network based on that. So in terms of relative popularity, Facebook is the big one, right? And what's interesting is Facebook really deliberately broke out Facebook app and then the messaging part of Facebook into a separate app. So messaging apps like Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp and, other chatting programs are, I think they're going to overtake the popularity of traditional social media sites, these chat sites. And then, we have all these other ones too that have a lower user base, but not an insignificant user base. These are millions of people, so, 1.5 billion people, is a lot, but also, 122 million is not nothing either. We can look at social networks by age. So, this isn't surprising. If we look, so LinkedIn is like kind of one of the middle ones. You basically want to look at the square for light purple is 70 plus, and the square for dark blue is 18 to 19 years old. So, if there's more, there's no more purple, it tends to be an older audience. So we see Facebook has more purple, Google Plus has more purple, Flickr and LinkedIn. They have the most purple, and that's not unexpected. And then if we look at Snapchat, we see that like almost half of Snapchat's users are under the age of 24. So Snapchat is the fourth one down. So the light blue and the dark blue are people under the age of 24. So that's almost 50% of their users are in that age group. So clearly, if you have a certain kind of audience for your product or service, like you can, based on age, you can make some pretty quick decisions based on some of this data. You can also look at social networks by gender. And I get it, like we're kind of, in terms of the human population, we're about 50-50 in terms of gender. But certain networks tend to skew more female, certain networks tend to skew more male. So if you have a product that really appeals to women or really appeals to men, that can, something like this can help you a lot. As you see, the middle one that has the largest light blue bar, which is the female bar, is Pinterest. So 70% of Pinterest users are female, 30% are male. And then if we look at the other way around, if we look at the Kik app, which is one of those texting apps, that is almost 70% male, 30% female. So something to think about. And the other thing we can look at too, that they track is income. So, so the lower income is the dark blue, the higher income is like the kind of light pink. And we can see that, the higher income people tend to be, oddly enough, on Snapchat and LinkedIn. Those are the two highest income brackets. And if we look at kind of the lower income, the people who make like 20% of Kik's users make less than $15,000 a year. So all this to say is you can look at these and you can probably rule out some social networks pretty quickly in terms of your audience just probably isn't there or there's not a lot of them there. It can make sense to be where customers are at. And if you're not sure, you can always ask your customers what social media sites that they use to get their information. There's nothing wrong with asking people. They like to tell you their opinion, I'm sure. The other thing you can do it, of course, is based on content shared. And if you think about it, it's not just text that people share. People share photos or photo albums. They share music. They share events. They share jobs, all kinds of stuff. So if we look at sharing text, right, Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, not really a great place to share text. Pinterest also is very visual, as is Tumblr. Sharing photos, Instagram, Pinterest, Tumblr are very visual. Twitter and LinkedIn, if you look at those feeds, there's not a ton of pictures in those feeds. Video, YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, you won't see a lot of, you'll see links to videos, but not a ton. So anyway, I'm just going to skip some of these. All this to say that you'll notice in all of these that there's a mixture of general websites that a lot of people are on, like Facebook or like Twitter, and also some very specific kinds of social media sites. So for example, Eventbrite is a place that people share events, or meetup.com, or, so depending, if you just look for social network and then the type of content you want to share, you'll see that there are a few other options that maybe have less users, but maybe those people are really interested in stuff. So like SoundCloud is a place that people share audio files. And even though it's not as big as Facebook, all the people who are on SoundCloud are interested in audio files. So if you have a podcast, that's a good place for you to be. And then finally, option 3 is based on subject matter. So, if you want to find out if a topic is being discussed on a certain social media site, there's a couple of things that you can do. I mean, of course, you can search for the topic and just, you can search for the, in the search box and you can see what comes up. But here are some other ways that you can also figure out if people are talking about something. One is to look at what's trending. So Facebook and Twitter have this. And I think Pinterest too will be like, oh, this is hot, this is what's hot right now. And it can be a mixture between like really innocuous stuff like Motivation Monday. So I have a feeling I screenshotted this on a Monday. So that was trending on a Monday. Probably isn't trending on a Friday, I'm guessing. And then you have some kind of things going on in the news or other movements that people have. The other thing is you can look for groups of people. So it's one thing if someone just mentions, one off that they're, interested in abstract painting. It's another thing to look on, Facebook, you have the ability to have groups. Twitter, you can have Twitter chats or lists of people on Twitter that are interested in a particular topic. LinkedIn, you can have groups. So what you can do is you can see if there's like groups of people that have congregated on a social media website to discuss a particular topic. In this case, 11,000 people are members of this abstract painting group. So if there's a whole group about it, there's probably enough people on that social network for you to be talking about the same thing. You can look for hashtags. So these are, I have a blog post about it on my website if you want to read it, which I think I mentioned in the resources. But basically what I just did here is it's the £, and then a word or a group of words together. And the reason that people use hashtags in particular for visual things or when there's a lot of conversation going on is that I don't necessarily know that I'm looking at something that's a piece of real estate. But if I put hashtag real estate, if I click on that, it'll pull up everything with that same hashtag in it. So I can see everybody who's talking about a particular topic, whether it's real estate or photography or, knitting or, anything else. And then if you see an ad, so if you're on the social networking site that you're thinking of using and you see an ad for the thing that you're interested in, it means that somebody at a company thought there was enough potential interest that they purchased an ad on that site, which means they thought enough people were there. Now, I like to pick a couple of different social networks, and in particular, like with most clients, I say let's pick 3 for most clients because it spreads the risk of using just one social network, and it gets you in front of different people or the same people in different ways. And we can cross-promote things because some people really like one or the other, and rather than making everybody join one, or let's say you had everybody on Facebook and Facebook changed its algorithm, and suddenly you weren't reaching the same people you were reaching, it's nice that you have a couple of other eggs in other baskets. Again, if something doesn't work, you can always change it. You might find that 2 of your social networks of the 3 you pick are going really well and one isn't, and you can just drop that one. It's fine. But we like to just say, don't put all your eggs in one basket in a general way. Now, setting social media goals is a way that you can figure out if the time that you're spending on Facebook or you're paying someone to do your Instagram is worth it. So you need to think about, well, after 3 months, what would make you happy? What outcomes in particular? In some cases, it's, okay, you want more likes on Facebook. But in some cases, it might be that you want more website visitors to your online shopping cart. Or you might want more people to come to your monthly events that you host. Or you may want more email addresses. Or you may want people to actually just call you and place a takeout order. But being really specific in what you want and compare what's happening now to what's happening after or during this 3-month period, you'll be able to tell if what you're doing is working for you. So here are the social media websites that I'm going to go over. There's some of the big ones out there that you've probably heard of. Maybe if you haven't, by the end of this, you'll have heard about them. I will say that I've left Snapchat off this list very intentionally. So Facebook is the big one, right? Everybody, it skews a little older, right? That's what they always tell us marketing people. They're like, all the younger people aren't on Facebook anymore. I don't think that's entirely true, but I will say there's less of them than there used to be. And you can post anything on Facebook in terms of content. It can handle a 100 photo gallery. It can handle a live video. It can handle just a lot of text. So, and the big thing with Facebook is it has a large user base. So, now the one thing that you'll notice if you use Facebook with any regularity, and I'm not sure if you can see this well, but so I took a screenshot of this Facebook page, and you see in the upper right-hand corner that it has 663 likes. But if you look at the latest post, you see that 35 people have seen it. So what's the difference between, okay, I have 663 people that like the page. Why aren't 600 people seeing this thing? Why are only 35 people seeing this thing? And what Facebook has done, and what you'll notice on this page even, is what they want you to do is they want you to pay for more people to see your stuff. So they'll show your update to a few people, between 2 and 3% of your audience. And based on how those people act or react to it, it'll show it to more people or it'll show it to less people. So, if people like a post or leave a comment or something like that, it'll show it to more people. It'll think that, oh, this is relevant, and it'll show it to a larger part of the audience. But really what they want you to do, and you'll see in these big blue buttons, you see boost post and promote website. They want you to buy ads because that's how they make their money. So, to avoid paying, you just want to repost the same things or the same ideas. And it's okay to do that, because if only 35 of your 600 people are seeing a message, if you post it again, it's going to probably show it to a different group of people. And even if one of the 35 people sees it again, they're not necessarily going to remember that they did. So don't be afraid to post things more often, and don't be afraid to be interesting, because that makes people, like and comment on things, and then more people see it. So, you can try posting, different times, different days, try different formats of posts and see which ones do better in terms of data. And you'll be able to see that in your Facebook insights, and like I said, you can post the same thing multiple times and kind of see what works the best for you. Something that you can actually set up, just so you know, if you offer free Wi-Fi at your business location, you can ask people to either put in their email address or like you on Facebook, or check in on Facebook for you to be able to use the Wi-Fi. So just something to keep in mind. If you're offering something for free, there's nothing wrong with getting a little something in return. And I've seen a couple of people that have this, and I never, sure, I'll like your page. I mean, I'm getting free Wi-Fi, so good for me. The other thing to do that I think is really great is using video functions, because I don't know about you, but I will watch a video about something that I would never read two pages about, even though it takes the same amount of time. There's something about presenting something in video format, because the thing is, a lot of people want to watch videos, but nobody really wants to make them. So present information in video form that you definitely want people to see, and I bet more people will see it. And I know these guys, which is a local downtown organization, they had a whole PDF guide on their website about how to post events, but they noticed that nobody was really following it. So they made this video, and as you see, maybe it's really written pretty small, but it got 694 views so far. I mean, maybe it's gotten more views since I took the screenshot, but the point is, they couldn't get 694 people to look at the PDF on their website, but they could get people to watch this video about how to promote events. Twitter. So Twitter is a way to basically join conversations with a bunch of strangers. Everyone kind of admits on Twitter that it's short format, and since they're, you don't have to agree to be friends with someone to follow them on Twitter, it tends to be a little bit more shorthand, impersonal, in a good way. There are certainly people in life that I appreciate in a business sense, but I don't necessarily want to see pictures of their family vacation. Twitter is great for that. I also like to use it to keep in touch with the press or other public figures, because if you're a newspaper editor, you get so much email, and you have to be on social media or Twitter all the time. So you can kind of build rapport with people on Twitter in a way that doesn't take them or you much time. And I'm not saying do it in a transactional way. I'm just saying it's a nice way to keep in touch with a lot of people, because it's relatively quick, and currently it's not being controlled by algorithms, which means, unlike Facebook, where you post something and it only shows it to some people, everything you post on Twitter theoretically goes out to your entire audience. So it's a little bit more egalitarian that way. Now, Twitter, I will say at this point, is currently experimenting with algorithms, so only showing some tweets to some people. But what I like too is you can it can feel like a lot of information if you're following a lot of people on Twitter. But what you can do is you can put them in lists or like follow certain hashtags to narrow a focus. So rather than logging in and being like, oh my God, there's like 1,000 people in this room right now, you can find the people who are all talking about a particular topic or who are all in your town and just follow them. But because of the character limit, because the 140 character limit, you can get a lot more information a lot more quickly than you can using, I think, other sites. And I will say that a lot of people will post straight to Twitter if there's breaking news going on. So if you're a news junkie, Twitter is your friend. You can use analytics tools with your particular Twitter account. One that I know of is called Twiriad. So you can like log in with your Twitter account. It'll analyze how many like reactions your different tweets got, and it'll give you an idea of good days and times for you to post your tweets. But there's lots of analytics tools out there. You can, you want to use some hashtags to be part of those conversations. So in the example I have here, I want people to, realize that this is a post about social media. Now, so they can follow, if they follow the social media hashtag, then the thing that I wrote comes up. So, and I want people who are following what's going on social media to also come and check out my blog. You're going to use some short links. There's a service called bitly.com, which allows you to take links and make them short and gives you a little bit more writing space that way. So rather than a link taking up like a bunch of characters, right? Because we have a limit on characters, it'll take up just a few. And you can add a photo to your tweet, and that can make it stand out because not a lot of people use photos on Twitter. Now, a little bit more about Bitly is you can actually customize you can upload a really long URL. So here's an example of one here, and you can make it shorter. But what I really like about it is you can actually track the data of people who click on it. So in this case, 134 people have clicked on this link. And the reason that you use short links, of course, besides Twitter, is that you can actually put them anywhere that won't tolerate code. Because if you give people a short link to type in, they're less likely to mess it up. I see this a lot in women's magazines, like when they're, showing a particular, like, oh, here's the outcome of, here's this cool tablescape, and go to bit.ly/tablescape October to see how we did this or something. But the less characters you give for people to type in, the less likely they're going to mess it up. So getting people from print to online, it's nice to use a short link if you can. And by using tracking data, you can see what things people like or don't like. Now, here's the thing with Bitly links. They don't have to be a link to your own website for you to be able to track them. If you make a little short link and share it, you'll be able to track it, whether it goes to your website or somewhere else. So by seeing what things people click on, even if it's not on your website, you'll be able to tell what people are interested in. And then this just makes me laugh every time I see it. It's Dear Santa, how are you? I'm good. Here's what I want for Christmas. And it's an Amazon link. And if you've ever seen Amazon links, you know that they're giant. So picture someone trying to type this in. And I will say someone who came to one of my workshops did type this in, and it's like it is some toy. It's like, I think, a little remote controlled helicopter. She just said she was so curious that she just had to type it in. Now, you can use hashtags, like I said, to join or follow conversations. And you can actually look up, there's a whole website that tracks which ones are trending, which ones are popular, who's using them, called hashtags.org. So feel free to use that. So an example of a Twitter person that I follow is Bill Trotter, who's a reporter in my area for the Bangor Daily News. And he shares stuff that he's written or things that he's reading. And you can, we can exchange things back and forth. So you can do this with other media figures that you enjoy following and potentially build a relationship with them so that if you ever approach them for something, they already know who you are because they've chatted with you on Twitter before. You can use it to disseminate, contests. So this is Giffords, so who doesn't want free ice cream? It's always a good thing that people want. So they're running a Twitter contest. And then you just like post what's going on. So in this case, I follow, this is a local store that we have here in Bar Harbor. I follow them on Twitter, and I saw that they posted that they got some new wallets in. And I wouldn't necessarily like walk into this place looking for wallets, but I'm glad that they have them because I need a new wallet, and I just happened to see that go by. So, how many other people follow accounts on Twitter and just are seeing information they weren't necessarily looking for, but they're glad to know. LinkedIn. So I think I read somewhere that somewhere like 70 or 80% of people on LinkedIn are considered company decision makers. So that means they can either make decisions about the spending of money within their company or even hiring decisions. And a lot of consultants and freelancers are on Twitter, probably for that reason. And, LinkedIn is basically the professional social network. So you share links like, oh, here's the latest blog post I wrote. Here are, some links to a useful resource. I'm looking for somebody who is a good graphic designer, that kind of thing. And the reason that people use LinkedIn and don't maybe use a less formal social network is that, these recommendations are theoretically vetted. So like if I leave someone, so you can actually look at my LinkedIn profile and see what people have said related to my web design skills or like my blogging skills or whatever. And you can kind of use that really powerful network of not just your friends, but friends of friends. You're only a couple of, it's like the degrees of Kevin Bacon, right? We're all theoretically separated by, just a few degrees of separation between, you and anybody else. And, there's some interest groups on LinkedIn too that people can take advantage of. So basically, the people on LinkedIn, they tend to be more corporate, they tend to be more affluent, they tend to be more educated. And basically something I figured out is that almost no one ever posts to LinkedIn. You can actually write status updates on LinkedIn like you can write on Facebook and on Twitter, but almost no one does. And almost no one has unsubscribed from the weekly digest that LinkedIn automatically generates based on your network. I think they send it out on Wednesdays. It's like every Wednesday, it's like, oh, here's what's going on your network. And the thing is, if you have like 500 friends and you post something to LinkedIn, suddenly you're showing up in everybody's email box because nobody else posted, and so you just got in there. And and if you're looking to get headhunted, change your headline to looking for new opportunities in whatever industry you're looking for. And that basically means let's talk about, me changing jobs or you potentially hiring me or whatever. I worked with one of my friends who'd been out of work for almost a year and a half, and we basically, we got him a LinkedIn profile set up, and, I said, okay, this is what I want you to do. I want you to, connect with 20 people a day, and I want you to send messages to 5 of them a day and let them know that you're looking for work and the kind of thing you're looking for, and change your headline to looking for opportunities in X. And he had a job offer within a week and a half. So I will say that LinkedIn is where people are looking when they're looking to hire people. So, and there's nothing wrong with making your profile sort of reflect that if that's what you're looking for. So like I try to share a link to LinkedIn about once a week, whether it's to a workshop I'm doing or to a blog post I wrote or to a part of the website I want people to get to that I don't think they're getting to. And yeah, you can cross post things from different social networks. So this is my LinkedIn example. This is an alumni group on Facebook. So they actually vet and make sure that you went to the college I went to. But, here we have someone posted about, alumni award nominations, and then someone is actually hiring someone in Los Angeles, and they're looking for. So it's like a good place to get information. So different communities have LinkedIn groups, different colleges or training programs have LinkedIn groups, different professions have LinkedIn groups, and people post there whether they're looking for someone to fill a job or they're, sharing resources that are pertinent to that group of people. So, and people are also, letting people know what's going on related to, and this is a real estate broker letting know about new construction that she's, invested in. And then people also, cross-post their blogs on LinkedIn to get people to just, to read them and see them there. Instagram. Basically, it tends to be skewed younger in terms of demographics, and it's a lot of lifestyle brands. So if you are an up-and-coming sneaker designer or you do latte design, like Instagram might be for you. And it's basically people sharing pictures of their fabulous lives. And kind of what I like about it is the idea of it is it's kind of like a behind the scenes look, because you're kind of summarizing one idea with one picture or maybe a collage of pictures or a 60-second video. But the idea is that because it's all visual, I mean, I follow a bunch of people from different countries and I don't necessarily speak the language, but I really like their photographs. So I don't necessarily need to. And, you know, I will say it's worth spending a minute editing your picture and ideally composing it before you take it. So making sure that there's not like a weird sign behind someone, or like that the lighting's okay if you can. And then, I use Snapseed. It's an app that it's a free app that you can put on your phone. I think it's owned by Google, so it's probably here to stay. And what you can do is you can take an image and you can just lightly, edit the colors a little bit, or like crop it, and spend just like a minute just making it look really nice, because since people are looking at one image at a time, that image, it can stand out. There's a couple of tools out there where if you want to like overlay text over your pictures and otherwise do kind of the fancier stuff that you've seen, you don't need Photoshop. Both of these are actually free tools, Canva and PicMonkey, where you can create attractive visuals. And like I mentioned a second ago, you can actually post videos that are less than 60 seconds on Instagram. And it doesn't always have to be this amazing photograph that you took. It can be other things too, like animated GIFs, collages. As you see, we're going over these things and you're thinking, oh my God, it has hashtags just like Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn. And I'm like, yep. And it has, you do want some text, but you want some hashtags. You can, you'll see that a lot of these things tend to work on multiple social media sites. But the idea is you don't want like too many hashtags, because that makes you look kind of crazy. But having a few is good, because it helps you be a little bit more visible to people who are looking for that information. You can tag people and locations in your post. And like I said, it's worth it to do a little light retouching to make sure that your photo looks good. I've seen and actually participated in a couple of Instagram contests. So what people do is say, hey, if you want to participate in our contest, use a certain hashtag, and that's you entering it. And, in this case, it's a flooring, it's those floor tiles that stick together. And if you, they say, hey, if you use hashtag #myfloor, you can be entered to win some flooring from this company. So people posted their pictures of flooring. I will say, I think the people in the vacation shot, I don't think they knew this was a contest thing, and that might be a typo because they don't seem like they're on a rug anywhere. So that's a little something that could happen too, is someone could use a hashtag and have absolutely nothing to do with what you're trying to do. But as you see, 317 people posted to this contest. And it was a really easy contest to enter, because all I had to do was find a picture that worked and use that hashtag. I didn't have to fill out a form. I didn't have to, sign over anything crazy. I didn't have to pay any money. It was just really easy to join this contest. I really like the way Panskafers does their Instagram, because they sell wedding dresses, and so they can't like take a picture of the woman in her wedding dress when she buys it, because of course, the grand unveiling is going to be at the wedding. But they do a lot of things like, post like textures of dresses and show thank you notes, and they just have, I just think they do a really nice job. So if you're looking for a local example that does good Instagram, I think they do a good job. Pinterest. Pinterest is basically a visual bulletin board where people keep track of links and other, visually. It's basically designed for middle-aged women. It's my favorite social network. So, and I guess it's because it's sort of designed for me, because it's for, people who maybe do more visual things. So if you want to collect infographics, photos, products, and what I think is really interesting about it is it actually drives purchases. So I think I read somewhere that Pinterest drives more purchases than Twitter, LinkedIn, and Google Plus combined. And, this is a little screenshot I took of this study. Have you bought something online after browsing Pinterest? 30%. Did you find, yeah. So it's like a good amount of people have bought things because of what they see on Pinterest, which I think is really interesting. And so what you want to do is you want to have something visual that links back to something on your own website. And if you put pricing info, if people are searching by price, your thing will come up. So you may want to consider doing that. A couple of Pinterest examples. So this is a t-shirt company. So they have different t-shirts kind of grouped together, like fun party animal shirts. Here's a personal trainer that groups her workouts together so people can find them. And so people can see that, she knows what she's doing. And then this is a YWCA that has gathered links together that they think are useful for their constituents that they can refer back to. So Google Plus tends to be more tech heavy. People use it to share links. But honestly, the main reason that people use it is because it helps your performance in the Google search engine. From what I can tell, not a lot of real people use it. Like, I don't think anyone's hanging out on there and like having lots of conversations. But what I do honestly is I post on our Google Plus site 1 or 2 times a week with something that links back to our website. And what I've done too is I've tried to get 5 reviews or more, because Google tends to treat you a little differently when your business has 5 or more reviews. So what I do is I just sent people my review, my Google Plus listing, and just said, hey, if they had a Gmail address, and said, hey, can you just leave me a review if you don't mind? And so it wasn't too hard to get those. Again, you can use hashtags, you can link to other websites, using visuals. All this stuff is very familiar. And what's cool is that just how many people look at this stuff. I just think it's really interesting. 37,000 people have looked at my Google listing, and I just think that's crazy. So despite no one being on this social network, it tends to be something that people are using. And this is my friend Julia Ventresco, who makes bags. And she, as you see, she kind of made a little collage of her bags and linked back to her work on her website. And so that is allowing people to find her website on Google a little bit easier. YouTube, sharing videos. I thought it's really interesting that a lot of people watch videos, online review videos, like most people, before they buy something. And I also thought it was interesting that the average mobile viewing session of a YouTube video was over 40 minutes. And a lot of people prefer online video to traditional TV. So if you want to educate people about something in a short time period in an interesting way, a video can be a great way to do it. You can add closed captioning to your videos to make them more accessible. YouTube will automatically generate captions if you click on the auto generate tool, and then you can just fix them. And then you can also add notations to your video so that people can keep browsing. So they watch one video and then they can kind of transition into another pretty easily. I like that there's a whole YouTube channel about creating clay beads. That makes me really happy, with 81,000 subscribers. But a more local example is these are people who they upload their commercials and people watch them. It's totally something that people do. And it doesn't have to be anything highly produced. It doesn't have to be anything really fancy. People they like knowing what's going on. This is not every social network. Basically, there's a social network for everything. I just went over some of the larger ones with you that were, I think, a little bit more applicable to most people. I'm ignoring Snapchat because it's been hard to find business applications, and also Facebook and Instagram are going after Snapchat with their stories feature. And currently the Facebook stories are more popular than Snapchat. So I'm not sure they're going to go away or if they're going to be absorbed, but I'm just saying that, I ignored it, I guess, for a reason. So social media stats, you can see demographic information of people who like your stuff. You can see people who've commented and liked it. You can see what people are already coming to the website, and do they fit your customer profile? And these are the actions people can take, right? They can like something, which is the lowest kind of interest action. They can, click on it, that they're more interested because they're willing to go off. They can leave a comment. They can, So as you see, this is like increasing amount of interest in terms of actions that people can take on social media. And you can try different things. You can try different text. You can try different photos, asking people to do different things. Instead of signing up for your email list, you can ask them to, like your Facebook page. You can try all kinds of different things. And I just want to talk about the difference between impressions and engagement. These are words that most social media sites use. So impressions is how many people saw the thing go by. And it could be that they scrolled past it in 2 seconds, or it could be that, it was open in their browser while they went to lunch and came back, and then they, kept scrolling. Engagements is people who've done something. So they've clicked on it, they've shared it, they left a comment, that kind of thing. So impressions versus engagement gives you an engagement rate, which makes sense. So you see the bottom one, I have 110 impressions and I have 2 engagements. So that's a 1% or almost 2% engagement rate. So I just talked about that, and I guess this is just an additional thing. You can also see demographic information for some social media sites. So this is an example of my Facebook audience. I will say Facebook tends to skew a little bit more female. So the fact that there is more women who like my page is not surprising, but it is a little bit higher than the average amount of women on Facebook versus men. And I can also see location, I can see ages. So as you see, my demographic information that I go for, tends to be the people that are my ideal customer tend to be here on Facebook. And I know that from the data. So if you only use social media as your only marketing thing, that's kind of limiting. And also if you only use one type of social media account, that's also limiting. So just keep that in mind as you go forward. That one thing is not going to fix all your problems, no matter how cool that thing is. Social media should support anything that you have ongoing. So if you have an upcoming event and you're not even mentioning it on social media, it can feel a little incongruous with other people. Social media can help distribute what you've already produced. So if you just paid a graphic designer to make you a nice annual report, or if you have this really cool graph that you just made in the office and you're sharing amongst yourselves, put it on social media too. You might as well have other people be able to see it. And in terms of resources, I would say that HubSpot is really a great marketing blog to follow, as is the Buffer blog. I should have put that on there. The bufferapp.com, I think, is the name of it. And the Social Media Examiner has really nice articles about social media as well. The next part will be about email marketing. Thanks for watching, and I will see you then.